Favorite line from one of the first three movies, from New Hope, Empire, or Return of the Jedi?
It's a trap!
Oh, it's a trap. It's a classic.
Right, you got it.
Admiral Akbar, right?
Admiral Akbar. That's right.
Do you have an Admiral Akbar costume at the house?
No, it's too hot and heavy. It's just too...
That's the first time Admiral Akbar and hot and heavy have ever been used in the same sentence.
Not really, but oh yeah.
May the 4th be with you.
And also with you.
Nice to see you. How are you doing?
I'm living my best life. It's like pinch me moments every time. I feel like Cinderella at the ball.
Let's play something. From the soundtrack to the original film from 1977, that is the theme to Star Wars. What goes through your head?
I'm 5 years old again, sitting in a darkened theater with my dad and my sister. I have no idea what's going on, and this blazing music comes out stirring. I'm 5. I don't know what's going on. I can't, but it affects me, and it still affects me to this day. I've got goosebumps every time I hear that score. And I see the crawl. I couldn't read it at the time, right? So, and my dad wasn't going to read it to me, so I just see these words going up. And then this epic adventure begins. And begins a lifelong adventure for myself as I just sort of fall in love with this story, and it weaves itself into the very fabric of my life.
What do you mean? Like, tell me more about that. Why Star Wars? What did it do to you?
It really just sort of captured my attention, and I think more than anything else, it was the first or second sort of, like, the first movie I ever saw was Jaws in the movie theaters. Mm-hmm. Completely inappropriate, but that left an indelible mark and is my favorite movie of all time. But
sometimes it's the movies we're not supposed to watch that become our favorites. Yeah,
sometimes your parents need a break and they don't care what's going on. They're going to take you with them. And so with Star Wars, it was a swashbuckling adventure series with a group of characters that absolutely fascinated me. It was very, good versus evil, very clear delineations. It was about a young farm boy who became a hero, who always dreamed of doing more. And for me, it was just like seeing the special effects, falling in love. That's when I fell in love with the sci-fi genre, spaceships, laser swords, laser pistols, blasters, lightsabers, droids, all the costumes, the Imperial stormtroopers in their armor, Darth Vader in his black-clad suit with sweeping, just such powerful images that just blew my mind.
You have a pretty extensive Star Wars collection too, right? What do you got?
Little one. What I have? So much. I mean, my wife still shakes her head. She loves it though, sort of, kind of. She loves me.
Yeah.
How's that? So she lets me keep it. But I have action figures. I have ships. I have memorabilia, replica props, blasters, lightsabers, costumes. I have 9 or 10 costumes. I have a set of stormtrooper armor, scout trooper. I've got Jedi outfits, Imperial officer outfits, and these are all screen accurate because I am a member of the 501st Canadian Garrison, which is a cosplaying group that that specializes in Star Wars cosplay, more specifically the Empire side. And they get together and they have a very exacting standard to gain membership. Like you have to submit your costume for approval, take multiple pictures from different angles, and there is a garrison liaison officer who will look at it and judge it basically, and if it passes muster, then you're allowed, that uniform is accepted and you're allowed to join the Legion.
So let's just catch up to this moment. So here's what we've heard so far from you. Remember going to the movie with your family, text scrolling, you can't quite read it, but it's so powerful, so impactful. You become sort of obsessed with it. You're playing when you're a kid. You're playing with your friends. As it follows you, you become this massive collector. Cosplay, you're dressing up as Star Wars characters. And now you're part of the Star Wars universe. You're in The Mandalorian. How did that happen? Tell me this. I want to hear the story.
Oh, my God. It's crazy. It is absolutely insane. So, I mean, and this really, for me, cements the fact that things happen in your life for a reason. Things come full circle. And so back when I was just out of theater school, back in 1995-ish, I got this theater arts grant to learn about theater administration. And I was working at the Factory Theater. I was supposed to learn arts administration there.
Factory Theater in Toronto.
Factory Theater in Toronto. And it was the Factory Theater was basically going bankrupt. Ken Gass, who was a founding founder of the Factory Theater, was working at U of T as a professor teaching performance. And that's how I met him. That's where I went to school. And he stepped back in to save the Factory Theater. And so they had to cancel all the shows. Everything was receivership. Everything got shifted around. And I was not learning anything about arts administration because there was nothing to administer. Working at the same time was a lovely young woman who wanted to be a filmmaker by the name of Deborah Chow. Now, Deborah Chow, for those of you who don't know, is a director and executive producer on shows in the Star Wars universe. Quite recently, she did Obi-Wan Kenobi, that series. She was the director. She wrote that and produced that. And she was working on season 1 of The Mandalorian. And I didn't know this. I was in Los Angeles for the first time in my life back in 2018. Kim's Convenience, we'd been invited out there for this gala event where they were celebrating Asian Americans in the media. Yeah. And while I was there, Deborah Chow jumped in front of me and said, "Do you remember who I am?"
Oh, wow.
I was like, "Oh, Dad, what are you?" I hadn't seen her in 25 years.
Yeah.
And so she said, "Hey, look, I've been trying to get in touch with you because Dave Filoni, who is one of the executive producers and showrunners on The Mandalorian, he loves Kim's Convenience. His wife got him to watch it. He loves it. He wants to write something for you." And I thought, "Oh my God, are you kidding me?" Right? You're kidding. And I reached out and I remember, sort of lightly grabbing her arm and saying, "You do realize I have over 10 costumes from Star Wars, screen actors." She said, "No way." So I showed her all the pictures on my Instagram page. She's like, "Send these to me." She texted them over to Dave Filoni and he was blown away. And he said, "Wow, he could just show up in costume, just in costume on set, just as is."
How do you get cast, Paul?
6 months later, I'm down there and, Deb said, "Oh, they're looking to write something for you." And I'm flattered, but I know how the industry works. And like, you take everything with a grain of salt and I go, that's great that I'm in a conversation, but I'm not expecting anything of it. And my agent calls and says, "So Lucasfilm called and they asked for your availability." And I thought, what? I didn't have to audition. They were offering me a part. I didn't know what the part was. She said, "It's the foodie pilot." They use code names for everything, right? So that the secrecy is paramount over there. And so all the character names have code names. And I didn't realize this because, naive Canadian. It's just, so I took it quite literally. Foodie pilot. Like, does he fly like a restaurant ship?
Is Favreau making chef again?
Yeah, exactly,
kind of
right?
thing, yeah.
So I was, immediately said, "Yes, I don't care what it is.
Sure.
We'll burn down forests. We'll kidnap people's pets.
Yeah.
I'm going to be on Star Wars."
Yeah.
And we were getting more and more information. And so basically, from what I hear, originally, for the part of Carson Teva, they wanted Kevin Bacon. And he didn't want to do it. So I was like, "Hey, that's fine, man. He's lost. My gain. I will take it every day and twice on Sundays type thing." And it was they were looking for some of the cast. It was actually Jon Favreau who said, "Well, hey, Dave, what about Dave's friend Paul? He's an actor, right?" And so that's kind of how my name got sort of thrown into the equation there. And I guess John must have looked at tape of Kim's Convenience episodes and stuff like that. And the offer was made. And they called me. I remember them calling me, and that's so surreal when you're getting a phone call from Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
And Dave Filoni. It's a conference. They're going to be calling, and I missed the first call
because
I was eating KFC with my family. How's that for a story, right? Like, we'd ordered in, and I was giving it. My phone was in my pocket, and anyways. So that's a fun one.
Was the reason? Let's go back to the Star Wars early days. Is that why you became an actor? Is that?
I don't know if that's why I became an actor. I never knew I could be an actor growing up, to be honest, because there wasn't a lot of examples of people who look like me in the industry.
Right. I even heard that when you were a kid, when you were playing as your kids, when you were kids, you couldn't be Luke or Han.
Yeah.
Because you were
Asian.
Asian.
Right.
And Luke and Han weren't Asian.
There you go. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right? Little gatekeeping things.
Even as little kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and kids don't know it, but that's a learned behavior. That's systemic racism in that sense.
Yeah.
I say, well, you can't, like if you have the black kid and you're doing Ghostbusters, so it's like, you got to be Winston.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
And so there is
and
that
if there's no
element.
Asian stormtrooper, if there's no, if there's no Asian main character.
Exactly.
You're
You could be
lost.
Chewbacca.
Yeah, exactly.
Chewie's kind of, you know.
So similar for acting. There was no path.
No, but really Star Wars and Star Trek and Ghostbusters and back to all these movies, these shows that I grew up with made me fall in love with the art of storytelling. Like I just love that, and and acting is an extension of that. Being able to perform is an extension of that. When I realized in university, discovered that I could get training to do this. There's a possibility for me to do this. That just the world opened up, and I dove into it like feet first, and I was awful. I sucked so bad because I had no experience, like no training, nothing. But it was just so much more than I thought it was. Acting was a craft. It was something that to be learned and to train, and it wasn't just memorizing lines and pretending.
Yeah.
There's so much more to it, and that's what I fell in love with. Was the craft.
I got a question about the diversity around Star Wars, and I'm not. Listen, I'm a fan of everything I've seen, which is everything. I think I've seen it all, but I don't often know the backstories behind these things. But this is my understanding. So, Kelly Marie Tran's character Rose was kind of left behind.
Oh man!
In The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, they literally made her character stay behind to do homework. Let that sink in. They made the only Asian character, main character, stay behind to study the blueprints of these Imperial Star Destroyers. That's a travesty.
Yeah.
I think I was so, first of all, I was heartbroken for Kelly Marie Tran because, the worst of social media opened up and went after her. And they hide behind the whole, we just don't like her character. It's like, no, you're just racist.
Yeah.
And misogynist.
Yeah.
Let's, don't hide behind, we don't like her character.
Yeah.
So, you're going to bring up gender and you're going to bring up race. That makes you a misogynistic racist.
Yeah.
So I think she was treated unfairly. She got dragged through the mud. For somebody who has so much joy for Star Wars, because when she got cast at the beginning, I remember watching her and I was so happy, because it was like, one of us made it. There's a major Asian character, one of the leads in the movies. How incredible is that? Excuse me. And not only that, she's a massive nerd and a fan, and she loves it, and she's so open. And for her, that spirit to get squashed and twisted, where she quit all of social media, stopped talking to fans, was, I think, one of the biggest travesties in this franchise's history. You've got death threats going against Moses Ingram for Obi-Wan because it's a black woman who's a villain, and you just kind of you scratch your head because I refuse to believe that is most of the Star Wars fandom. That is a small, very vocal few who get the attention because they're saying such hurtful, vile things, and sadly, that's what sells in terms of media, clicks.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then it becomes this whole thing where everybody believes the entire fandom is now tarred with that.
Do you feel any okay, I have a responsibility here, or hey, if there's meaning in the fact that I'm now casting the Mandalorian? In that way,
Yeah, you know what? I try, first of all, like every actor, you just do the work.
Yeah.
Just do excellent work.
Yeah.
But I am cognizant. And, Kim's Convenience was great for that in terms of helping me see the perspective of how you behave, not only on set, but off set, how you conduct yourself with fans, your life. It matters. And I carry that with me. And it's a great responsibility because, like it or not, I am an ambassador for communities, not just the Asian Canadian community, but the Asian community, the BIPOC community. And so this is something that I accept because you can fight against that and go, well, I don't want to be a role model. I didn't ask for this. Well, you didn't ask for it, but you got it now. And so what are you going to do with that? You're going to spend all your energy fighting against that and just being yourself? The part who I want to be is that best version. When a fan comes up and they apologize profusely for saying hello to me because they're disturbing me, breaks my heart. Because I always say, just say hi. It's cool. Like, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the fans. You always want to be the best version of yourself, and we don't always succeed. I fail all the time.
Yeah.
But that's part of the journey, is doing that and making those steps forward and being an example of how kindness, how being present, how really being thoughtful and empathetic matters so much.
Yeah.
So much. And it makes a big difference, especially with the younger generation too. They need to see better examples.
Well, you got a big award coming for that in a few weeks. The Governor General.
Yes. Sorry.
little snip there, Ben.
yeah,
I think a little
no.
snip there.
Yeah, no. Oh my God. You know why? Because it's so, I don't.
Let me say it.
Okay.
In a few weeks, you will be receiving the Governor General's Performing Arts Awards for your contribution to the performing arts over the last year and for being an inspiration to a generation of Asian actors.
Yes. It still blows my mind. It still blows my mind.
I've never had that reaction before.
I can't because it's just like for
Yes.
me, my automatic default is I have huge imposter syndrome.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And my first thing was like, oh, it must have been a really slow year in the arts. Me? Wow. Oh, they set that bar really low.
Oh, man.
It's surreal. And that's goes into hand in hand with what I'm talking about in terms of living my best life. All these things are sort of, I'm being feted for all these things. And it's never in my wildest dreams as a kid growing up, as a young adult, as a young actor, trying to get work in the industry, as a young man, trying to build a family with his partner. My cup runneth over with these blessings that come. And honestly, I feel so blessed that it's come so late in my life because
Right. I mean, Kim's Convenience,
Yeah.
the TV show, didn't happen until...
I was in my 40s.
And then Play probably in your 30s.
It was 2011, so that was like, like in my late 30s.
And then it was the TV show that really
Then the
blew
TV
things
show,
up.
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And so it's those things where, because I've gone through the ringer.
Yeah.
And I know how hard it is.
Yeah.
And I've had these big hopes and I've had them dashed for no other reason than that's life. And so I appreciate things a lot more now than I would have. And I think with this success coming at such a late life, I can really, really, it sits in me. I'm more grounded about it. I haven't gone like, well, now I can just walk around the block and push people around. And don't you know who I am type thing is non-existent.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of bewildered whenever people come up and like, oh my God, can I take a picture with you? And they're all shaking. And I'm like, sure, I'm really happy, but I think you're too excited because I'm really not that interesting. And I think that puts people at ease too, because I like to think I haven't changed in that sense. It's just me.
My understanding is that, I mean, you are one of the better secret keepers, by the way, of the Star Wars universe, because you were working on all of this stuff, didn't tell a soul. I mean, I guess you couldn't tell a soul. So I don't know how much I'm going to get out of you with this question. The finale to season 3 of The Mandalorian just aired. No plot spoilers, but at the end, it did seem to suggest a lot more from your character in season 4.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Right? Fingers crossed.
You don't know anything.
I have no idea. And just honestly, I don't. It hasn't even been renewed.
Paul just looked into the camera, by the way. Listen, he looked into the camera and said, like Nixon.
I have no idea. No, I honestly, they haven't even renewed. We don't know if it's being picked up for season 4. I know Favreau's gone on record saying he's written it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That bodes well for me, I hope.
Yeah.
But I've been in this industry a lot. You hope for the best, but expect the worst.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me, if they call upon me, I will be more than happy to answer the bell and fly down to Los Angeles and work on it. But at the end of the day, it was like that at the end of season 2. I was really hoping if they went for season 3, I'd be back. Mm-hmm. Really, but they don't owe me anything. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the biggest compliments an actor can get is when they do ask you back. They liked your work. They wrote more for you. They ask you back. And so the same thing, if there is a season 4, oh yeah, they set it up. But you know what? There are a lot of X-Wing pilots,
I think.
A lot of captains.
Not a lot of Governor General Performing Arts Awards winning X-Wing pilots, to tell you that much.
Oh, that sounds good. I like that.
Governor General Performing Arts Award winning X-Wing pilot.
I like that.
Favorite line from one of the first 3 movies, from New Hope, Empire, or Return of the Jedi?
It's a trap!
Oh, it's a trap. It's a classic.
Right, you got it.
Admiral Akbar, right?
Admiral Akbar. That's right.
Do you have an Admiral Akbar costume at the house?
No, it's too hot and heavy. It's just too...
That's the first time Admiral Akbar and hot and heavy have ever been used in the same sentence.
Not really, but oh yeah.
Thanks for coming in, Paul.
Thank you so much for having me.